ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਕਤਿਕ ਕਰਮ ਕਮਾਵਣੇ ਦੋਸ ਨ ਕਾਹੂ ਜੋਗ। ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਤੇ ਭੁੱਲਿਆ ਵਿਆਪਣ ਸਭੇ ਰੋਗ। ਕਤਿਕ ਕਰਮ ਕਮਾਵਣੇ ਦੋਸ ਨ ਕਾਹੂ ਜੋਗ। ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਤੇ ਭੁੱਲਿਆ ਵਿਆਪਣ ਸਭੇ ਰੋਗ। ਵੇ ਮੁਖ ਹੋਏ ਰਾਮ ਤੇ ਲੱਗਨ ਜਨਮ ਵਿਜੋਗ। ਖਿਨ ਮਹਿ ਕੌੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਗਏ ਜਿਤੜੇ ਮਾਇਆ ਭੋਗ। ਵਿਚ ਨ ਕੋਈ ਕਰ ਸਕੈ ਕਿਸ ਥੈ ਰੋਵਹਿ ਰੋਜ। ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿਛੂ ਨ ਹੋਵਈ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਧੁਰ ਸੰਜੋਗ। ਵਡਭਾਗੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਮਿਲੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਤਰਹਿ ਸਭ ਬਿਯੋਗ। ਨਾਨਕ ਕਉ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਰਾਖ ਲੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬੰਦੀ ਮੋਚ। ਕਤਿਕ ਹੋਵੈ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗ ਬਿਨ ਸਹਿ ਸਭੇ ਸੋਚ। ਨਾਨਕ ਕਉ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਰਾਖ ਲੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬੰਦੀ ਮੋਚ। ਕਤਿਕ ਹੋਵੈ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗ ਬਿਨ ਸਹਿ ਸਭੇ ਸੋਚ। ਕਤਿਕ ਕਰਮ ਕਮਾਵਣੇ ਦੋਸ ਨ ਕਾਹੂ ਜੋਗ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So Katak through the month of Katak, Guru Maharaj Ji ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ। He instructs us and enlightens us by saying karma kamavane. Karm are deeds. ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਧਰਮ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਦੇ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ, according to old belief, is a karm is comprised of, our deeds, they are comprised of man, bani, sarir. Man meaning your mind, bani meaning your words, and sarir meaning your body. So these three things comprise of a karma. Now there's so many different definitions if you start splitting it up. And though I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper into it before I translate the Pankti properly, I want you to get an understanding, because Pratan tradition, this has been opened up on this occasion in this month when karmas are understood. One is a karma, or one is a certain deed that we're collecting presently, which is called kiriman, and one is as we're collecting it, it's compiling, and that's called sanchit, compiling those karmas. And then later on what happens is, out of these piled up karmas, things become our destiny, meaning, or becomes our preordained destiny into another life. Right? Onu paralabd keh dinde hai. But if you were to look at the karmas that we're committing now, there are two types. One's called vehat and one's called avehat. Vehat means according to your guru. Karmas that are pleasing to your guru. And there are a couple of types, all supported by Gurmat, that I have to share with you. One is called nit karm. Nit karm, what is it? Khalsa ji, I hope you're listening, because these are things that you should solidify inside of you. Nit karams, the ones that Maharaji says, Uddam kare, palke prapati, isnan kare amrit saranave. That's your nit karam. Nit savere ishnan karna, soch ishnan to uprant nitnem naam simran de vich jodna. Right? Going forward, dharam di kirt karni, daswand, in terms of time, in terms of money, giving it to Guru Maharaj Ji, arpan kar dena. There's a lot through things that we're supposed to do during the day, and that's our nit karam. It's called vehat karam, meaning according to what your Guru wants of you. The next one, after nit karam's nimit karam. Nimit karam is done on occasions such as Gurpurbs, such as the one that's coming up in a couple of days, Bandi Chhor Divis. That will be a nimit karam, meaning that it will be for or dedicated to Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji and praising Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. So that's a nimit karam. Also, according to what Guru Maharaj Ji says, it will be counted as good for you. Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Gurbani tina Gursikhs Bhai Bhagat Gurpurb Karamde. He says that I'm a sacrifice for those Gursikhs. I'm a sacrifice for those Gursikhs that on the time and occasions of those auspicious days that they celebrate their Gurus, that they get up on those days and devotional worship is what they do. I'm a sacrifice for them. Gurbani tina Gursikhs Bhai Bhagat Gurpurb Karande. That's nimit karam. Nimit karam. Then there's another karam which is called Sakam karam. Sakam karam is the karam which is Sahat Kamana, meaning the Shubh Kamana Rakhni, meaning that if there's another Gursikh Pan Pra, you see that they've fallen ill and they're not coping well. So, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਦੇਹ ਅਰੋਗਤਾ ਲਈ we do a Khand Path or we do a Sahaj Path. That's not against Gurmat rules. That's Vehat Karam, meaning that it's according to what Gurmat says, it's all right. It's counted as all right. That's called Sakam Karam. Taking some Pavna for Dujjan da Pala lai. The next one is the one that you commonly have heard of, which is called Nishkam Karam. Nishkam Karam ohua seva karit hove nihkami. Maharaj Ji wants you to do service and to do jap of Guru Maharaj Ji in the manner that there is no kamana behind it. All it is to please Paramatma. Maharaj Ji says that is also Vehat Karam, according to what Guru Maharaj Ji wants. And the final one is called Prashat Karam. Prashat Karam is the one when you've sinned or you've done a karat. A karat is a cardinal sin. 4 cardinal sins a Guru ka Sikh shouldn't do, which is told by the Panj Pyare at the time of Amrit Sanchar. Or it could be a pop such as Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. Well, how do you get it off? You do Prashat Karam. You do Japji Sahib the part. You go do Seva. And it's all for to wash that pop off of you so it doesn't come and translate into another life form for you. You don't want to carry it with you. You want it to come off right then and there. Unu Prashat Karam kende. So when this month comes up with all the superstition and all the doubt and the false beliefs, Maharaj Ji says no. It's not because of some voodoo or because of believing in spirits things are happening. It's because of your karmas. So in the month of Katak, through the month of Katak, Guru Arjan Dev Ji takes the opportunity to dispel false beliefs and say Katak Karam Kamavane, that whatever karams or deeds that you do with your mind, word or your bachans or your sarir, Kamavane, that you practice, that you have done, then what happens? You'll reap the rewards or penalties of them. Dosna kahu jog. Does not become of you. It does not become of you to go and place the fault on somebody else. I'll illustrate with the Sakhi. Dibyo Das was a Raja. He was a king, had his kingdom. And in his kingdom, over time, he had a daughter. Now this daughter, he made sure she was well educated in Dharam, well educated in material ways too. And as she got older, he looked for a proper partner to match her beliefs and that she can live a good life. A wife and her husband working together as a unit to fulfill a life's goal of attaining God. Well, what happened is Dibyo Das had found a partner for his daughter at the time of the wedding. During the time of their prakarmas, Now again, this wasn't happening according to Sikh tradition, but again, it's just to illustrate a point. But during their wedding ceremony, parikramas or walking around, their belief, it used to happen. But nevertheless, when it was happening, the individual that Dibyo Das's daughter was going to marry started to fall down onto his knees, and later on, after a short while, would pass away. Everybody was astonished. Then over time, Dibyo Das decided that, that was just maybe just coincidence. But it started to happen again when the second individual was found to marry Dibyo Das's daughter. This second individual, the same event happened where he passed away. And you'd be amazed to hear this event would happen 21 times. 21 individuals would pass away. Khalsa Ji, after 21 individuals passed away, Dibyo Das, as a Raja and having some background, having an understanding of karms, he said that she has to do prashit. Meaning that she should go and wash some karms that are sitting with her, that have followed her into this life. Back then they didn't have a proper understanding of which way to do it. So what did he do? Unu banavas deta. He exiled her to the forest. He sent her and told her, banished her to the forest so she can do her worship there. She left unwillingly. She didn't understand what was happening, and unwillingly crying, she made her way to the forest and fell onto the forest ground and started crying. Over and over again she would cry. Eventually she started attracting some attention in the forest. And let's say there were a couple of spirits that were walking and roaming the forest floor also at the time that they noticed Dibyo Das's daughter crying on the forest floor. Now, being spirits and having understanding of this life and previous lives, they could read what this individual was and is in this life and what she was in her previous life. One of the spirits said to the other, communicating, now what's her problem? The other said, I'll open up and tell you her story. As she's crying, there's a conversation happening between the spirits, and one says to the other that in her previous life, she was the daughter of a Brahman priest, who used to teach Vidyarthis. Vidyarthi is a name for students. In the manner that you're sitting, a lot of other students would sit and listen to this one Brahman. And one of the Vidyarthis, that he saw that Vidya Changi par gaya si, that he became well educated, he told that I have a daughter and I would really wish for you to marry her. He accepted this proposal and he wed one of his Vidyarthi to his daughter. Now this is the same daughter in the next life as Dibyo Das's daughter that's crying on the forest floor. Khalsa Ji, what happened is that the Brahman's daughter got wed. Perfect wedding, everything was fine. And as years went by, infidelity grew inside of her heart. She was not dedicated to her husband no longer. She started looking upon other men's faces. And not only other men's faces, over time, that looking came to communicating. And then it turned to adultery. And not with just one man. It would happen countless times until the point that she even turned to her husband and kicked him out of their home. Nek Sabasi, her husband, had a very humble nature, a very pure nature, kicked out her husband out of the home. She continued with her foul practice. But on top of that, she taught other women to do the same. She taught other women to do the same. Well, what happened is that she reaped the consequences which turned into penalties in this life. Now when she went in front of Dharamraj, in the court of Dharamraj, Dharamraj declared that you'll find yourself into another life as a woman, as a daughter of a king this time. But when it comes time to be wed, you are going to feel the pain of every time you'll wish for a husband. It'll come close, but the husband will pass away. And who will be the husbands? The 21 times that you committed adultery, those will be your husbands. They'll come and find death at a young age, right in front of you, during the time of the prakarmas, or the time that you walk around to do your lava in your wedding ceremony. So Khalsa Ji, these kind of karms, past karms, come and make their way. And this woman, not understanding, cries on the forest floor, curses her father, curses Paramatma. Marji's mentioned her in Gurbani. Bali rove, nahi patar, Nanak dukhiya sab sansar. Bali rove, Bali meaning Istri, this woman, this daughter of the king. Bali rove nahi patar. Patar means husband. She's crying why she doesn't have a husband. Nanak dukhiya sab sansar. So, dos na kahu jog. It doesn't become of us to blame others as the manner she was blaming her father and blaming Paramatma. These are our karms. They make their way over lifetimes and they compile in whatever fashion Guru Maharaj Ji chooses. Jo main kiya, so main paya, dos na dije avarjana. Avarjana meaning another. It doesn't become of us to blame another for karms that we've committed in our previous lives, but now they haven't been opened up, so we don't have a full understanding. Yet we did them, but we're going to reap them. It becomes of us as Gursikhs to understand these are things that are happening and painting out scenarios all over the time for every second of our lives as we go. And the manner we respond to them with our mind, word, and sri are also karms that are painting out that might come and follow us. So, as a Gursikh, becoming responsible individuals and understanding this karma, the khel, and the karms that I told you that are vehat karma, or according to what Guru Maharaj Ji wants, those are the karms. Let's hope and let's try to practice within this month and the months following, so we can gain our Guru Maharaj Ji's prasansa and liberation from the 84 lakh.
ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਤੇ ਭੁੱਲਿਆ ਵਿਆਪਣ ਸਭੇ ਰੋਗ.
So Parmeshwar, the absolute Lord, the absolute Parmeshwar, absolute Almighty, infinite Lord Vaheguru, te ਭੁੱਲਿਆ, forgetting Guru Maharaj Ji, forgetting the Almighty Lord who deserves all the credit for giving you this human manuk deh, manuk or human body. Vyapan, what comes upon you. Vyapan, what you are inflicted with or have the potential to be inflicted with, is sabbe rog, that all types of illnesses. Now, sabbe rog, what's the rog in the Gurukar that's considered the worst of them all? Now, in Asa Diwar, Guru Angad Dev Sache Patsha, our second Guru, says in a Pavitra Shabd, which I'm sure a lot of the Sangat is familiar with, where he talks about home. Home eha jaat hai. Home karam kama hai. So, here, a lot of people will translate the first pankti and say, home, people have ego over the caste that they have. But there's been a translation which I've heard from Vade Mahapurush. What he says is home eha jaat hai. Jaat meaning understanding it as upjat, comes about. Right? Telling you how home comes about. Yes, you come in with agyan and a certain amount of home vich aya. You come with a certain amount of ego. Otherwise you would be recognizing God from the time of your birth. But how does it get stronger? home mein eh hai, jaat hai. So ego, it comes about how home mein karma kama hai, by the karms you do. It's solidified and strengthened, and there's a greater amount of, let's say, filth, of home that separates you from Paramatma by the karms that you practice, by the deeds that you do, by the actions you commit to do. Within the same Shabd, Maharaji further down says, home mein dirg rog hai. What does dirg mean? Dirg comes up a lot of times in Gurbani, it comes up in the Punjabi vocabulary. Dirg means this deep, long-lasting illness. Home mein, this ego, which our religion talks about way more than any other. And if let's say some other religions don't even mention this part, we say it's the topmost priority for a Sikh. Home mein dirg rog hai. And the next pankti, daru pi is mahe. Satsangat ji, this has been questioned by Gursikhs, and they say that, well, I hear this pankti all the time, but I don't know the translation. Daru pi is mahe, that daru, the medication, is also within. That's what the literal translation of that becomes. It's nothing hidden from that. But what Guru Maharaj says, Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, he says that if there is a long-lasting illness already fallen upon you as home, which is called ego, then the medication is also in there as well. But let's open it up a little bit more. If you take that daru and separate it a little bit, then you have da, ru. Da meaning dada data ek hai. Da standing for data. Dada data ek hai. Da data. Data meaning giver. Ru is the same as that you say Satguru. Right? Go, ru. Go meaning hanera, darkness. Ru meaning that it, Maharaji causes illumination. Radiance, prakash. Now, da meaning data, ru meaning prakash, meaning illumination. Let's try translating it again. Home dirg rog hai. Well, home is a long-lasting and deep illness. But da, the data, Paramatma, has given you prakash. Pi is mahe. Inside, He's given you prakash, or a part of Himself inside of you. Da, ru, pi is mahe. He's given you prakash that's sitting inside of you. Then, how do you bring it about? How do you get rid of this illness? Kirpa kare je apne gur ka sabd kamahe. Gur ka sabd kamahe. Then, if you want to get rid of it, then take the words of the everlasting Paramatma and practice them. Do a abhyas of them. You'll realize what's jad, or what's just empty maya as your body, and what's chetan as the everlasting Paramatma Prakash Srup that's sitting inside of you. Right? There's two parts inside of you sitting you. One is the battery source, is that Ru Prakash Paramatma. And on the outside, when you go more superficial, is just this body made up of 5 elements. Daru pi is mahe. So Gurka Sabd, Maharaji also says, Gurka Sabd sab rog gavaye. Guru Maharaji's Shabd. You should be fortunate that you have come across Guru Maharaji's Bani in this lifetime. You have an opportunity, and eyes are blessed to see Maharaji's Panktiya and hear him, because these are the very words of Akal Paramatma. Through the stretches of the universe, it all belongs to Him. Through the stretches of different realms, it all belongs to Him. Kot Brahmand, Sache Pasha Oda Thakura. He's the Malik Master of all this that you see and what you can't see. And what you can't see, don't think as just small. It is immense. Undikhi dunya that we'll say as the invisible world that we don't see with these elemental eyes, but can be seen. when you move closer to Paramatma, because these are blessings and enlightenment that happens through Paramatma's prakash. So, Maharaji says, Parmeswar te bhullya vyapan sabbe rog. Well, Gur ka sabd sab rog gavaye. Guru Maharaji's shabd gets rid of all these illnesses that could come and befall upon you. Well, if you forget Paramatma, then these rog or these diseases, these illnesses come around like they're your company. And they'll stand around you and slowly make their way into you and exert their influence on you. There's a story that I've told before, but it falls very close to the heart of this pankti. So, I'll illustrate. It's of Sant Baba Attar Singh Ji Mastu Aane Wale. At the time, Baba Attar Singh Ji was doing Tarna Wala Kirtan. Tarna Wala Kirtan is the type that where a Gurbani Shabd is recited, but then the translation is also. So what happens is in a Sangat, when they want to also reap the benefit of Kirtan, they also want to reap the benefit of understanding. So this translation in a certain manner with the one simple tune would be proclaimed by the Kirtani, and the women and the men would all sing together. And without microphones at the time, Baba Attar Singh Ji doing prachar through Tarna Wala Kirtan, what would happen is slowly the Sangat at the beginning, as they start singing, they would slowly start making a way all the way towards the back of the Sangat. Now at this time, after the Diwan, what would happen? Anand Sahib was read, Sukhasan was done, well, Hukamnama, and then Deg Vrtai Jandi Si, Kirtan Swala and Sukhasan. Aam practice in our Diwan, which you're all familiar with. Well, what happened after Sukhasan? There's certain individuals that would come with questions. And this one person who belonged to the Arya Samaj, and a person very skeptical about the Sikh religion, came up to Baba Attar Singh Ji, seeing that a lot of people are being joined in the Sikhi religion or following the Sikhi religion under the guidance of such a Mahapurush. Well, this individual came to Baba Attar Singh Ji and he said that, you know what you're doing? It's called But Prast. He's saying it's idol worship of you bowing your head before papers, maaf karna. This is not a belief of a Gursikh. But yet these are the shabds that he used. And he said that you're bowing your head in a manner that people bow their head before idols. Baba Attar Singh Ji says that that's untrue. That's a false statement. We bow our head to the Shabd. And the Shabd is the form of the everlasting, almighty, infinite Lord. And he says, I don't believe you. Well, he said that I can't do much about that myself if I'm not shaking your belief. But I can go up to my Vaheguru Lord Guru Granth Sahib Ji. But at this time, Sukhasan has been done. And since Sukhasan had been done, he wasn't about to go do Prakash again. And this is all due to Satkar and respect and adab for Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So what he did was he took a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, and placed it under Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And understanding that Guru Maharaj is Samrat. Yes, the Shabds have been written down on paper, right? But now we respectfully call it Guru Maharaj's limbs. But if Maharaj chooses, he can inscribe that Shabd on anything he wants. He does so every day. When Gursikhs come into Sangat, he inscribes on their hearts. He makes an everlasting influence on their hearts. He did so for Koda Rakesh. He did so for Sajjan Thag. He did so for so many others. Well, what happened is that that blank piece of paper had been placed under Guru Granth Sahib Ji very respectfully by Baba Attar Singh Ji, and then with full faith and devotion, he folded his hands and prayed before Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Innanu Samat Baksho. Give him good understanding that he may come around. Then that piece of paper was handed over very respectfully by Baba Attar Singh Ji to that Arya Samaj follower. He placed it in his upper pocket. As he went home, And over time, what happened is this person started to fall ill. Bimar ho gaya. And a disease very similar to leprosy started coming upon his sareer. Him being rich, him having wealth, he called upon a lot of doctors. But yet, nothing to his avail. Nothing came to his rescue. And as time passed, somewhere in that head, from doing Sad Sang with Baba Attar Singh Ji, though he was full of skepticism while he was in Sangat, it came to his head that there was something written on a piece of paper or a blank piece of paper that Baba Attar Singh Ji had placed under Guru Granth Sahib Ji and he had given to me. He's near his deathbed, or he's on his deathbed, meaning that he's passing away. He remembers that piece of paper. He pulls it out of his pocket, wearing the same kapra at that time. This is not coincidence. If Guru Maharaj Ji chooses to use his power in such a manner, things so happen. And it happened to be that same kapra, and he pulled out that kagad, or that piece of paper, and what did it say? Let it be not to your surprise. It said, Parmeswar te pulya vyapan sabbe rog. You forgetting that Guru Granth Sahib Ji is Parmeshwar, the absolute Lord. You forgetting that. And being skeptical is the reason why you were susceptible to getting this disease or being inflicted with this disease. But yet you being ignorant and not giving credit and not even appreciating the fact that Guru Maharaj Ji given you a response, that disease fell on this individual. Well, when this happened, he turned right away to Baba Attar Singh Ji. He had to be carried by individuals to Baba Attar Singh Ji. And Baba Attar Singh Ji, who now can barely recognize this individual looking like a person had drawn his soul out of his body, pale, diseased, coming into the divan, Baba Attar Singh Ji says, then listen to me. I want you to hold divan or kirtan in the morning and evening in your home. And over time, this disease appe lat juga. Well, with whatever words that a Mahapurush that Baba Attar Singh Ji says, he took very literally, and he got kirtani to hold kirtan in his home, and Sat Sangat hone lag gaya. Khalsa Ji, what happened is over time he did start getting cured. Though he couldn't sit properly, he started sitting. Then there was a ras of kirtan that started to befall him, and then he chose, and under the guidance of Baba Attar Singh Ji, built a Gurdwara in Pakistan. And guess what he wrote on the front gate as you enter this Gurdwara? Parmeswar te pulya vyapan sabbe rog.
Vemukh hoye Ram te laggan janam vijog.
Vemukh, those people that turn their face away from Paramatma, those people that become literally faceless. What's the point of this nose, mouth, and eyes if these senses aren't being purified by looking towards Paramatma? But yet, people do. People commit by taking Amrit, but then doubt creeps in. There's not a good practice of Sikhi in their life, or they haven't broken off from bad company, and that plays an influence upon their life. What is the result of that influence? Vemukh. They turn their face away. Baba Ram Rai did. He had been bestowed naturally powers just for being the son of Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji. But he didn't just become the son. Obviously, there's some tapasya in his previous life, as according to what Gurmat says, he earned that life. But yet, when he was given the responsibility to go and do prachar of Gurmat before Aurangzeb as a viceroy, he fell victim to these powers and Vemukh ho gaya. Like Guru Maharaj Ji said, Jidhar nu tera muah, udhar nu hi chal ja. Your face is not facing towards me, it's facing towards another. And wherever it's facing, let it be and let it go in that direction. Later on, during the time of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he would be blessed and forgiven But it took that amount of time. So Vemukhoy Ramte, those people that have turned their face away from Ram, Paramatma, Parameshwar, if they've turned their face away from Paramatma, Laggan Janam, they receive countless births after births through the 84 lakh, and Vijog, they'll feel the separation of pain. So Khalsa Ji, this Pankti also has a nice Sakhi associated with it. And it comes from the time of the Bhagats. A lot of the Bhagats were Samkali, meaning at the same time as Guru Nanak Dev Ji, some were a little bit before. One that was before was Bhagat Farid Ji. And Bhagat Farid Ji, now famous in India, is a district in Punjab which is called Faridkot, right? Named after Bhagat Farid Ji that some of you might be familiar with. Bhagat Farid Ji at one time, while doing his bhakti, he had one piece of roti, dried up, tasteless, but yet it did its job. And what was its job? That he would break off a piece and put it in its mouth. We don't gain appreciation of this. I know though in Sikhi we don't believe in fasts, but let's see how long you can go without food. I don't mean to test you and I don't mean you go home and do this, but let's say by chance you've been out of the home and then you haven't been given an opportunity to eat. Sadi ta bas ho jugi. We'll start looking at any vendor, seeing for food, potential food that you can eat. But look at Bhagat Farid Ji's life. He would walk around. He looked for so many ways in a way to obtain Paramatma. Now what I've said, don't take in the wrong way. Now he was at a time that he was looking for a way towards attaining Paramatma, so he had this one piece of roti that he had by his side. And he would break it off at times that his stomach was too hungry to bear. He'd take a small piece, trying to maintain it for a long time, and he'd throw it in his mouth. One time, a person who had come from another city, having a wagon, in the back of the wagon, he had bundles of sugar. Bundles of sugar he had exchanged for money, and he had been bringing it back. This person, or we can call a Vapari, was passing by slowly as an ox moves very slowly, and on the side he came and crossed path with Bhagat Farid Ji. Bhagat Farid Ji looked towards the wagon. He saw the sacks or the burlap sacks full of sugar. Now yet they're sacks, they're not labeled, you don't know what's in them. So Bhagat Farid Ji turned to that Vapari and he said to him, "What's in those sacks?" The Vapari started to contemplate in his head that, oh no, I lagda koi pukha fakir. I need this. It's part of my business, selling this sugar for a higher price when I take it to my city. I don't need some fakir to take some of it right now. And who knows how much they'll ask for, and who knows how hungry they are. Such a bad way to think. And such an unhumanitarian way to think. Not vand ke nahi shakna. Nevertheless, Gursikhs vaste ta banda sade vaste vand ke shakna. Distributing freely. And it becomes of us, if you have food and there's another person that even looks at your food, you offer it to them at least. Even if they're sitting in your company, offer it to them before you eat yourself. So, Bhagat Farid Ji had asked this question. He had contemplated in his head, and he started thinking that, no, ye to koi pukha lagda fakir. He'll ask for something, so he said to him, "Nahi koi kaas foos jai hai." It's some dirt, some hay. Literally just meaning that just some dirt and hay that's in those bundles or sacks that are sitting at the back of the wagon. Bhagat Farid Ji didn't think much of it. What did Bhagat Ji say? He said, "Tata astu." Tata astu means Sat Bachan. Sat Bachan. Be careful when you use those words. For a Gursikh, when somebody says Sat Bachan, the words that he said it to will become true. If that Gursikh has Kamai behind it. Gursikhs really don't do it with that bhav. Now they don't do it with that mind state. They'll say it's Sahaj Sabai. If somebody tells you, go do this, Sat Bachan. He said, Tata astu. Back then they said, Tata astu. Saying Tata Astu, the Vapari kept moving. He showed a sigh of relief that I didn't have to give anything to him. When he went home, opening up the sacks, he sees dirt and kafus within the sacks. Rummaging through all the sacks, he finds nothing but dirt. Worthless dirt that amounts to nothing. He's not going to earn anything from this dirt. And panicking and in anxiety and worrying, he quickly tries to think, what just happened? Did that guy do toka? But I saw sugar go into those bundles. But what happened to that sugar? He thought about his experience as any of us would do in a time that if we would lose something or something would happen. You kind of retract things at the back of your head, trying to think, how did this happen? How is this plausible, or how did it come about? Well, his encounter with Bhagat Farid Ji had been looming also in his head. It spoke up in his head. And the visual imagery of Bhagat Farid Ji making his way into his head, he thought, oh no, that was a true sign. Or you could say a true fakir or a true devoted Bhagat of Paramatma. When he said his words, it literally became that. Those are actually my words. And it became that. So Khalsa Ji, he went back to Bhagat Farid Ji. And Bhagat Farid Ji said that, look, I don't want any of your food. But if you're so worried, go back to those bundles, tie them up. And with full devotion, say God's name over and over again. And after the time that you can't say it anymore or you're tired, open up the sacks. Well, he went back and he did so, quickly reciting God's name as he knew it over and over again. And then after a moment of time, he went and opened up, and what did he find? There was no dirt. It was just sugar. Khalsa Ji had turned back to sugar. So, Guru Maharaj Ji ki kehndे ਆ खिन में कौड़े होए गए. And instantly those sensual pleasures that Maya gives to you, Maya gives to you as those material pleasures through the world. They may seem good, they may seem gratifying, they may seem they're giving you some sort of satisfaction inside, but what does Maharaj Ji say? Khinme kode hoege jitade maya pog, that all those mayas, sensual pleasures or pog, padarth, and instantaneously they'll be turned kode or will be turned bitter.
विच ना कोई कर सका किस थारो वह रोज.
So Guru Maharaj Ji says, which, when which is mentioned at certain times with an onkard underneath, it doesn't mean between. It means intermediary or a person that acts as a vichola. Okay? So, which na koi kar sake. At the time of your demise, at the time of your end, when certain people, and this is not true for Gursikhs, yet if you fall on the path and you go astray from Sikhi, it will become that after your life, you'll be carried by death's messengers into the court of Dharamraj. And there, as your defense, or your lawyer, let's say, or your intermediary, or your vichola, nobody will come to your avail. Nobody will come to defend you. Vichana koi kar sake. That nobody will be able to come to your rescue at that time. So kis tha rove roj. Tha meaning place. Which place, or tha meaning person. Which place, to what person will you daily go and cry out your pains? Or roj also, according to Mahan Kosh, also means gamata. Gamata meaning your pain. Who at that time in the court of Dharamraj, when there's nobody to your defense, are you going to turn to that will come to your defense? And are you going to turn to that will listen to the cry of pain that you have? That cry of pain would have been better suited in this life when you had some time. But you didn't use that time. You let it slowly melt away. Slowly melt away until the time of your demise. And when you've been dragged over miles and miles. It's been described that the path towards Dharamraj's court, it takes over years to get there, or over a year at least to get there in human time, the time that we count. And then when you approach there, you get there, Khalsa Ji, nobody is going to come to your rescue. All you have is your karms. And they're going to speak loudly through every breath that you've taken and what you've done with each of those breaths. Vich na koi kar sake, nobody. Vicholgi koi nahi kar sakenge tode vaste. Nobody will be able to act as a vichola or intermediary. Kis tha rove hai roj? What place and person there are you going to cry out your pain to?
Kita kichu na hovai likhya tor sanjog.
So, Kita kichu na hovai. Maharaji has a bachan. Pache kachu. Pache kachu na hoega. Jo sir par aave kaal. In the end, at the time of your death, at the time of this body being ripped away from your soul, at that time, pache kachu na hoega. At that time, nobody's going to be able to save you at that time, or you won't be able to do anything. Proper translation is you won't be able to do anything. Pache kachu na hoega. Jo sir par. When Jamdoots have come to separate that soul from that body, jo sir par, they've come and standing above your head, jo sir par aave kaal. When kaal, death comes and is looming around your head at that time. So, kita kichu na hovai. What you think you're able to do, what you think you have as power in this world, what you think you have as prestige, nothing will be able, you will not be able or capable to do anything at that time. Your bhajan bandagi, you will not be able to do it at the final moments of your life. Kita kichu na hovi likhya tur sanjog. When maran likhaye mandal mein aaye. You came into this world with your death already prescribed on your forehead. Likhya tur sanjog. It had already been written from before you came into this world. So at the time of your death, you won't be able to do anything.
Vadbhagi mera prabh mile ta uttar sab viyog.
So now as a Jagyasu, as a person that seeks, as a seeker trying to attain Paramatma, and if you finally reach that voyage and you join with Paramatma, Vadbhagi mera prabh mile. I, as this person, as a Bhagat, working towards Paramatma, after being so fortunate and blessed, Vadbhagi, after being so fortunate and blessed, mera prabh mile, my Paramatma, my Parmeshwar, the one who I worshipped, the one who I gave my heart, the one who I gave my body, him, Paramatma, the one that I saw as being ever-pervading, omnipresent, within every body and through every life that's walking, blinking, that's breathing, that's seeing that Paramatma, seeing mera prabh mile, that I've been finally able to attain that union. Guru Maharaj says it's possible through this. Now through this month, Guru Maharaj has explained Katak Karam Kamavane. And because of those karms, if something bad falls upon you or a disease falls upon you, Parameswar te pullya vyapan sabbe rog. But Guru Maharaj says that those people jinne change karam kamaya, like the ones I listed at the beginning, when I explained to you what a karam is. Karms with mind, karms with word, karms with your sarir. And the karms that are according to what Guru Maharaj has said are nit, nimit, skam, nishkam, and prashit. And if these karms that I have already explained, if you have followed them, then Vadbhagi mera prabh mile. That Vadbhagi soul has been so fortunate and has been so graced by the Almighty Lord that we all sit here and we all worship, that He's graced him. He's graced that individual, and because of his high fortunes, he's been able to meet Paramatma. Ta uttarahe sab vyog, all the sorrow, all the pain that person had inside of him, All that turmoil that person had to cross had literally been like an ocean that's unexplainable in the manner of its depths. But Maharaji's Kirpa, with Maharaji as our Savior, ta utare hai, ta utare sab byog, all these illnesses, all these problems, all this turmoil has been surpassed, and we've been fortunate enough as Paramatma's grace has come upon those blessed souls, and they've reached Paramatma in a union.
Nanak kau prabh rakh le mere sahib bandi moch.
Now in this month also, Khalsa Ji, in the following days, what are people going to be calling out? They're going to be calling out Diwali. But Khalsa Ji, we recognize it as Bandi Chhor. Bandi moch, Bandi Chhor. There's the same meaning. And look how Guru Maharaji, how that Pavitra event unfolded and where it came about and where it finished. It finished at Amritsar Sahib. And it finished with so many Gursikhs that had been praying. Kaam Karam, meaning that they had been praying that Sache Pasha Reha ho jo. Please free Guru Maharaji from Gwalior the Killa so he can come onto this blessed throne that's been empty for so many days at Akal Bunga. We want to see Guru Maharaji's image sitting on Akal Bunga, and we want to hear his Updesh. Well, what happened, Khalsa Ji? We all know that during the time Jahangir had his mind also been polluted by corruption, that he wanted to take over the Gurukar or take down the Gurukar. But on top of it, at a moment that he had befriended Guru Maharaji, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, with also the influence of Chandu, who had been breathing down his neck for a long period of time, but now what he chose, another strategy, was to convince an astrologer or Najumia to go towards Jahangir and convince him that a disease is going to come upon you. Such a strong disease is going to come upon you, which is called Saraswati. When it falls on you and it comes across your body, the only way to take it off is by taking a holy man and imprisoning him, or taking a holy man and secluding him within a place where he can worship. And through his worship for 40 days, the disease will come off, or it will be vanished from your body or eradicated from your body. Now this is what we're going to be remembering in the next couple of days in Bandi Chhor Divas. All you're familiar with. What Jahangir had promised and what he asked Guru Maharaji to do, Guru Maharaji accepted. But also, why he accepted, there was another reason behind it, in being that there had been Bhavanja Raje, or 52 kings, ex-kings, that no longer wearing those pashaks, the Raje pashaks, or the kingly dress that they wore before, now strapped to pillars that to this day they've kept as a heritage site inside the Killa of Gwalior. Those pillars, 52, which used to be a Shiv Mandir, but Jahangir had made it into a museum where he had placed those 52 kings with chains around him. And if they had to go to the washroom, they did so around one side of the pillar. They would revolve around to the other side of the pillar when certain amount of defiled food had been thrown in front of them. Such a bad state, but they had started calling out to Parameshwar. All of them worked together to call out towards Parameshwar, and Parameshwar, being Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji in the 6th form, Guru Maharaji hearing their call, Guru Maharaji accepting the proposal placed by Jahangir, Guru Maharaji goes and makes his way into Gwalior the Killa. Well, Khalsa Ji, you also know that once Maharaji goes, it's not even a prison any longer. And after the main guard or the Daroga had befriended, or Mafkan had become a follower of Guru Maharaji, he started accepting the words of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji when he told him that, go, take their chains off, and let them all unite in a congregation of the holy. As you guys are sitting in now, as the Sad Sangat, you're sitting and listening to the words of Paramatma. As you hear Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji's story, doesn't your mind follow and picture Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji? Doesn't your mind go into the state, go into the place of Gwalior the Killa and try to imagine it? Khalsa Ji, these are the benefits of the Sangat. Your mind's not going home, is it now? If it is, then Varj. stop it and bring it now towards what's being preached. Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, towering image, Vad Jodha Bo Parupkari, sits on the throne at now in Gwalior the Killa, which is known as Gurdwara Bandi Chhor. There now sitting in Sangat are the 52 kings. They don't feel that they're imprisoned. They all sit, all rejoicing as the Lord Himself has heard our cries and come to our rescue within. Your soul is sitting captive within these bodies and has been. That's why I say to you, have you ever experienced a cry that's come from the depth of your soul, calling out to Paramatma? Calling out to Paramatma that say, let me leave the attachment to this body and the attachment to my surroundings and unite with you. So, those 52 eventually, after Jahangir had been instructed, or you can say samjad, when Mian Mir explained to Jahangir that now after 40 days you forgetting Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji is within the Killa, and that's why this disease has actually come upon you, and it's not because some false astrologer has said so. He realized the actions. Also, he had realized because Bhai Parana, Bhai Jethaji had been going and transforming in the form of shares and visiting Jahangir in the night. Him crying out, him trying to open up his mind and realize the mistake he's done. These kind of things happened as well. Well, to make this beautiful story a bit shorter so we can fall into the time of completing this katha and making it a bit more sankhep, is Khalsa Ji, what happened is that at that time Guru Maharaj Ji ne keh dita, or Jahangir ne keh dita, that go free Guru Maharaj Ji from Gwalior the Killa. Maharaj Ji said, then there will be one condition, that I'm bringing out all these Raje. He said, what? These Raje? These are the individuals that when I would bring a friend, I'd go and show him at Gwalior the Killa that these Raje, I've conquered him. Look at him. This is the Raja of so-and-so desh. This is the Raja of so-and-so desh. All my maan, hankar, hansar, lat juga, he's thinking inside of his head. Well, he said that I can afford one or two. Then Guru Maharaj Ji, who can attach themselves to your robe or to your chola at that time, they can come out. Well, what happened? Guru Maharaj Ji had a special chola which is kept in Gurdwara Chola Sahib, specially made. And when that chola was, or Maharaj Ji dressed himself with that chola, only 50 hands were able to make their way onto Guru Maharaj Ji's chola. 2 were about to be left behind. And when the 2 started crying at Maharaj Ji's feet, don't leave us behind. Maharaj Ji says, don't worry, you're my children too. He took those 2 and lifted them up on his arms, and they held of Maharaj Ji's chola from the baha. Khalsa Ji Maharaj Ji picked them up as his children, as we do to a child in our arms. 2 of them came out on Maharaj Ji's arm, and the rest 50 following on Maharaj Ji's Kaliyan wala chola. Guru Maharaj Ji raha hoye, and by the time that Guru Maharaj Ji made his way through Delhi to Amritsar Sahib, the Sangat that had been waiting on that day that we'll be celebrating is Bandi Chhor Divas, when they greeted Maharaj Ji with a huge prakarma full of dive. They celebrated Guru Maharaj Ji's coming. So, Guru Maharaj Ji says, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, using the title of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, says, Nanak ko prabh rakh leh, that Guru Maharaj Ji kirpa karo, protect me from this 84 lakh June that I've been going over and over again, yet because of my ignorance, because of homme, because of this mal parda, I'm not aware of it. But rakh leo, keep me, protect me, so I don't fall into another life. Mere sahib bandi moch, that you, as my malik, sahib meaning malik, my master, you're the one who will liberate me from the 84 lakh. Piche bolna ji, mere sahib bandi moch, mere sahib bandi moch.
Sahib bandi moch, mere sahib बंदी मोच
मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच, मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
साहिब बंदी मोच मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
नानक को प्रभ राख ले, नानक को प्रभ राख ले।
नानक को प्रभ राख ले, नानक को प्रभ राख ले।
मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच, मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
साहिब बंदी मोच मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
छटम पीर बैठा गुर पारी, छटम पीर बैठा गुर पारी।
पीर बैठा गुर पारी, छठम पीर बैठा गुर पारी।
मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच, मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
साहिब बंदी मोच मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
नानक को प्रभ राख ले, नानक को प्रभ राख ले।
नानक को प्रभ राख ले, नानक को प्रभ राख ले।
तन श्री गुरु हरगोबिंद साहिब, तन श्री गुरु हरगोबिंद साहिब।
श्री गुरु हरगोबिंद साहिब, धन श्री गुरु हरगोबिंद साहिब।
मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच, मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच, मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच।
So Guru Maharaj Ji, as our Malik, as our Thakur, as our Lord, infinite, absolute Lord, Sache Pasha, Mere Sahib, Bandi Moch, liberate me, because my soul is getting tired going through this 84 lakh. I don't want to go through another life. Agge Maharaj Ji dasde a,
कतिक होवै साध संग बिन सह सभे सोच।
Tan Sri Guru Hargobind Sahib Sache Pasha, at the time Jadon Riha hoye, or Guru Maharaj Ji came and saved those 52 souls from Gwalior the Killa, Guru Maharaj Ji made his way to Delhi. Jahangir was so astonished because on top of it, Maharaj Ji having a huge figure, he also had very nice looks. He was very handsome to look at. And he could not believe that Maharaj Ji would not be tempted by women. So he set up a scenario very similar to a scenario Maharaj Ji was presented with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji also, he freed prisoners from Sadpur, or you can say Ahmedabad, from Babur's jail. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when he came to Sri Lanka, there were women presented in front of him. When Maharaj Ji would not even address them by looking at him one time. Maharaj Ji, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji would do the same. When Jahangir brought most beautiful begums and brought him and told him to lure Guru Maharaj Ji if he doesn't even look towards you. Yes, he'll resist over a while, but over time he will look towards you. He's a king, isn't he? They call him Sache Pasha, or the true king. I don't know a king that doesn't look at many women. Well, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, when these women came with this task of luring Guru Maharaj Ji's eyes, Maharaj Ji at that time did look at him, but looked at him as a daughter. And when one presented and looked towards Guru Maharaj Ji, as soon as Guru Maharaj Ji looked her in the eye, she fell down at Guru Maharaj Ji's feet. And what did Guru Maharaj Ji say? He reiterated the same words Guru Nanak Dev Ji said. Gachaho putri rajkuar. Gacho means run away. Run away, this is not you. He's telling inside of your mind, run away from these vakars that you have. Gachaho putri rajkuar. All this thing, all this shaukat, all this ash, ush of Raj, run away from it. This is not you. Gachaho putri rajkuar Naam pano sach dot savar. Naam pano, remember God's name is sach dot. Dot meaning the time, the true time. Savar, take care of Amrit Vela. Take care of Amrit Vela. Preo sevaho prab prem adar. Seva karo for the Lord as your husband with complete devotion. Guru sabdi biktyas nivar. With Guru Maharaj's shabd, whatever amount of foul intentions you have inside of you, unu sara nivar de, all that thirst inside of you to go towards Maya, well, diminish it, vanquish it. It will vanish through Guru Maharaj's shabd. So Guru Maharaj had done so at the time. So, Katak hove sad sang. They on top of it, as they had fell at the feet of Guru Maharaj and sat and sangat, they reaped the rewards of sangat. Right? Katak hove, within the month of Katak, Guru Maharaj explains, through the month of Katak, Guru Maharaj explains that sad sang binase sabbe soch. If you have any foul intentions, binase sabbe soch. All those foul intentions, all those mari soch or bad thoughts, binase, they'll all end. You'll be free from that burden. Your mind will be more easily concentrated inside because of what Guru Maharaj says. So let's take these words and enshrine them in our heart. And remember Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji within this month. Remember Guru Nanak Dev Ji, because Maharaj's avatar happened within this month, when he, Sara Jo Paramsi, all the superstition that existed was all washed away for a Gursikh when they realized that miti tund, that tund or agyanta started to move away because Prakash Roop Paramatma had taken up a body of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and he was dispelling all the doubts and letting people see that this is the path, my children. Walk on this path. And these are my words. And through my words, make them yours. Take them inside and sing them with melody. Sing them with the rag that I've written before the shabds. And through that rag, feel the rang. Feel the rang of Maharaj's pyar come inside of you. Make them yours. Sing it through that melody of Guru Maharaj's rags. Come inside of you. You'll attain a peace that your soul has been looking for a long time. Khalsa Ji, maaf karna if I made any mistakes while doing any translation. My attempt every time is to follow a sampradaya arth of this shabd. I've tried, my Guru Maharaj has given me samratha to go through this translation, but if I made any mistakes, those are mine. Those are mine, and I ask for forgiveness before the Sangat and Pulchuk Khima.
नानक कहो प्रभ राख ले मेरे साहिब बंदी मोच कत्यक होवै साध संग बिन सह सब्बे सोच
बड़ी है अच्युत है पार ब्रह्म अविनाशी अगनास हे पूर्ण है सर्ब में दुख पंजन गुणतास हे संगी है निरंकार हे निर्गुण सब टेक हे गोविंद हे गुण निदान जाके सदा विवेक हे अपरंपर हर हरे है भी हो बनहार हे संत है कै सदा संग निदारा आधार हे ठाकुर हो दास रो नानक दीजे नाम दान रखो हिया परो सलोकाय प्रभ शरणागति निध दयाल एक अखर हर मन बस्त नानक होत निहाल वाहिगुरु नाम जहाज है चरे सूत्रे पार जो सरदा कर सेव दे जो सरदा कर सेव दे वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।